I am at the beach. We are on vacation in South Carolina. This morning I woke up, drove about an hour and a half to Charleston to the conference. Now, a lot of people call it the TSA conference, but it's organized by the TSA, Turtle Survival Alliance, but it is actually officially the Symposium on the Conservation and Biology of Tortoises and Freshwater Turtles. It started Monday with a field trip, talks on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they're finishing up with a banquet tonight, this evening. Maybe it's already over, but it was fantastic. You know, it reminded me of a professional conference that I go to during my day job. Normally, it's about ecosystems and plants, but it was all about turtles, and I picked this day to attend. I just thought it looked like it had the best talks. Got there 8:30, things kicked off. They had two different rooms, so concurrent sessions. They did a really nice job of ending the talks synchronously, so you could switch back and go from room to room. Overall, great. I loved it. Got to see some cool people. Chris Leone, Greg Brashear were there. I was there. Tony Monahan. Just a lot of big time players. I got to meet Will Aarons in person, Pixis, and former Kinexis breeder. Just great to see everyone. So, what I want to do tonight is just talk about some of the talks and take your questions. Let me make sure that I can see the chat here. I've got my laptop as well and my phone going. So, oh, Sean's here. Sean, welcome. So, bottom line, this morning I started off in the combating wildlife trafficking session. So this is all about tortoises and turtles as pets and moving them around the world illegally. The first talk up was this really interesting account by B. Anders. Unfortunately, they only have the first initial written on the program. So this is a guy that lives in Hong Kong, and basically he shared with us pictures and information about how it's very difficult to import turtles into China, but it's very easy to import them into Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is a city, China's kind of taken over the operations there. And so if you can get a lot of these turtles to Hong Kong, then eventually they can get into China. And what was crazy about his talk, they actually he showed a picture of this like weird concrete building, 9 stories. It was like nothing I'd ever really seen before. It didn't have windows or anything. It was a turtle farm. It was a 9-story turtle farm to breed Cora, Beretti, and Galbinifront. So it was just insane. So seeing that was pretty cool. The other thing that they were saying about China is that the big-headed turtle is actually on the list of turtles that can be traded in China, and that is causing problems. So the other thing I learned, the big-headed turtle is now 3 species. The former subspecies have all been elevated. So that was the first one. The next talk was Madagascar, radiated tortoises and Madagascar. And we actually had a recorded talk from a woman who was part of the environment ministry in Madagascar, telling us all about those radiated tortoise confiscations and why people are doing this. Number 1, it's for money. Number 2, it's for food. Interestingly, what they were saying, and it was difficult to fully get exactly what was going on there, but one of the people in the audience noticed on her slide, it said something about the local people consider the tortoises taboo. And he wasn't sure what that meant exactly, and I didn't really pick up on it either. But essentially, the people locally there, I think, if I'm understanding this correctly, are hands off the radiant tortoises. They don't eat them, they don't touch them. They're considered like something to not touch, not interact with. So it's not the local communities that are confiscating these tortoises, it's people from outside southwest Madagascar that are coming there. And in many cases, they're being loaded onto boats and shipped further north along the coast of Madagascar or shipped inland in trucks. But bottom line, it's still a big problem. They're working on it, and demand is high. So that was really cool. Even though the talk from Madagascar was recorded, the author of the talk was live, and so we were able to ask her questions. And there was even a gentleman who was a native Madagascan in the audience, so he was able to help us understand a little bit of what was going on there. So the other really interesting, two sets of talks from Willa Chavez and Zoe McMillan of Virginia Tech University. Willa has this research program that's actually studying the ethnozoology of turtle and tortoise keeping, and so her the major professors her talk was urbanization and connection to nature, implications for the demand for tortoises and freshwater turtles. So she did this really interesting survey of people and looked at their socioeconomic status and tried to correlate whether or not are you more or less likely to have a pet turtle if you live in an urban area or a rural area, or if you're wealthy or you're not wealthy. And they also looked at turtle products, uh, the use of turtle products like medicine or ornaments, and found that actually was positively correlated with wealth. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Very fascinating. And then one of her PhD students was specifically looking at identifying the drivers of demand for wild turtles in the US. And so what she found was very interesting because we all know this that keep turtles, but she found that people that keep pet turtles are more aware of the plight of turtles in the wild. So that's huge, right? Because she has clear evidence. If you have a pet turtle, the people that have pet turtles tend to understand more why turtles are rare in the wild. So I think that might have been an unexpected finding, but I think one that supports the importance of having pet turtles in order to gain an appreciation for those animals in the wild. So CNC tortoises, welcome. Welcome from Canada. We appreciate it. So those were two really interesting talks. Another really interesting talk, Sarah Stoner. She was from UK. Like, this is a crime data analyst, and she proposed creating these data analysis tools so that conservation law enforcement agencies could use these dashboards that track CITES information, imports, exports of different turtle species, and then also prices to track how turtles and tortoises are moving across the globe. Not in real time, but with some actual real data. And she was looking for people to help support that or fund that. I'd never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, that was the most interesting, innovative talk that I saw was this company that is building a tool set with lots of whiz-bang reports and graphs and charts and with tons of data being fed into it to better understand the turtle trade across the globe. So that talk blew me away, quite honestly, and I wish I could have talked to her a little bit more. Um, then finally, Dennis Collins, I believe his first name is Dennis. We've mentioned him on the Let's Talk Turtles podcast. He runs the SAFE program, which is a program of the TSA and the AZA, which places confiscated turtles with zoos in particularly Eastern North America, and they identify where those turtles came, and through a system of checks and balances and quarantines, they're able to actually repatriate wild confiscated turtles back into their native habitat. So if you work for a university, they love working with universities to build these turtle holding areas where turtles can live while they're being cleared, so that they can go back to the wild. So that was super cool. I must say the wildlife trafficking session was probably my favorite. I'm really interested in the international pet trade, and watching animals go through borders, and seeing what can come in and what can't, and see how effective our laws actually are. So that was that talk. Up next, I went to the zoo management talk. So these were the zoo people. The first talk was led by Lauren Augustine. I got to meet Lauren in 2019 at the TTPG conference. She works with Beretti, Galbinifrons, and the third one, which I put it in the chat. I always forget about it. Kyle, welcome. That complex, I think, is by far the most looked at group of turtles right now and talked about at this conference. The Beretti, Galbinifrons, and help me out, people. Help me out. I don't remember. I'm waiting for it to pop in. So they've done some very interesting genetic work there. Then I skipped around a little bit, trying to think of. Oh yeah, then I went to a really interesting talk about exclusion fences and creating turtle tunnels on roads in Canada, but along Lake Erie. So the other side of Lake Erie from where I lived. That was pretty cool. They had some really good results to prevent snapping turtles, which snapping turtles are really common here in the United States, but in Canada, much more rare. They only live in the southern part of the state. So they were actually very concerned about snapping turtle mortality along roads. And then, the next talk was by Daniel Gaillard. I hope I said that right, from Dalton State. And if you listen to our Let's Talk Turtles podcast, Christopher Manis also works at Dalton State. Honestly, I thought they were the same person for a long time until today. Daniel takes people all over the world, students, to learn about turtles. And so he had some experiences in India with Minoria and lots of other amazing animals. Just a fun talk. I wish I could go to college again. So some of the next talks were the Bill Hughes at the Tennessee Aquarium, all about their polycarbonate tub setup. I've seen pictures, I've heard about it, but it was really neat to see what that looked like and from Bill. Michael Ogle gave a really, I wish I would have gotten to meet Michael. I just didn't have time to stop and talk to him. But of course, Michael works with Knixi's Spikii, and he also works with a flat-shelled tortoise. And Will Ahrens was there, and I believe a guy named Dan Pearson also works with that species. And what's fascinating is that they each have a little different way of incubating those eggs. They definitely need a diapause, and they might need a cool down at night as well. So that was pretty cool. And oh yeah, one really cool talk about breeding bog turtles at the Tennessee Zoo, Zoo Knoxville. Um, they're doing it. Uh, cool turtle, lots of peat moss. That's what you need to know. Um, and yeah, and then in the afternoon, went back. Good talk about spotted turtles and river cooters in Illinois, about how those turtles are going in different directions. They only have two spotted populations left in Illinois, and but river cooters are on the upswing. And then Kurt Buellman gave a really nice talk on head starting wood turtles in the eastern US. And he was able to show some really good telemetry data that showed, yeah, most of the turtles stayed where they should have been staying, right in the creek, and got it. A few just went way off course. They corrected them, brought them back, and they got it the second time. They stayed in the right habitat and didn't leave. So that was pretty cool. He compared their head started animals to a native grown animal, and literally, it was like, here's the 1-year-old that lives in the wild, and here's their 1-year-old that was head started. So that was pretty amazing. And he is a great speaker, and he was an award winner this evening. So the last section, some people that if you've been to a TTPG meeting, Chris Leone, he works for the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation. That's in Florida, Southwest Florida, Sanibel Island, which was just decimated. I mean, decimated by Ian, I believe, Hurricane Ian last year, about almost a year ago. And literally the island looked like a war zone. And as he explained, it was overtopped with water for the first time since 1960. That resulted in a lot of saltwater intrusion. It resulted in garbage all over the place that turtles like to hide in. And the sliders seemed to weather that pretty well. The sea turtles weathered it pretty well. Box turtles, gopher tortoises did, but some of the cooters and soft shell turtles did not fare very well. But it was amazing to hear from Chris what it was like to be on that island in the aftermath of that hurricane where Sanibel just got decimated. I love Sanibel. If you've never been to Sanibel Island, it is my favorite place in Florida. It's different now, and my heart goes out to anybody and all the creatures on Sanibel. After Chris Leone, Chris Leone gave a talk on his project that he's working with his wife Casey, and they were showing just how predictable the diamondback terrapins are. They emerged out of the mud, they bask for a couple days, and then they show up in these coastal waters for a bit. The females just kind of pop their heads out, he was explaining, and then they nest. Just repeatable pattern, and they know exactly when to go, what to look for. And these turtles go to two very specific creeks to hang out a little bit and then nest at the appropriate times. And then he went through his project. You can watch his videos if you haven't seen Garden State Tortoise and their terrapin work. Then, let's see, which one? Okay, so then I went to see Flora Elo's talk. Flora is a molecular colonian biologist that studies the genetics. She's worked a lot with Connexus. This particular talk was on Beretti and Galbinifrons and let's see. Yeah, She just calls it the Southern Vietnam box turtle. Flora is extremely bright. She's doing her second postdoc. If you guys know of any academic positions in turtle biology, we need to attract Flora to the United States and help us study our turtles. I didn't get to meet her. I ran just after her talk. But I did stay. Let's see here. I stayed for one more talk. This was the last talk. Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Cora Pictorata, Beretti, and Gelb Benefrans. I always forget about Pictorata. The last talk was not by a turtle biologist, but a primatologist who studies chimpanzees in Africa and knows Jane Goodall. But the talk was all about chimpanzees and how they eat hingeback tortoises. They have like over 30 observations of chimps eating hingebacks. And he had a video of chimpanzees taking Conyxus erosa about this size and just banging them on trees, and you hear this bang, 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 bang. I mean, it was pretty intense, hard to watch, and then they start eating the animal, the soft parts. He noted that they share the meat with each other as a token almost. They'll hide the deceased turtle for a little bit and come back and eat it later. I mean, it was just pretty intense, pretty incredible. Yes, chimpanzees are eating hingeback tortoises. And then what they're noting is that where there are big populations of chimpanzees, they do not tend to find tortoises. So I don't know, if this is a range expansion or what exactly is going on, but they definitely eat them, and it was intense, and we saw a video of that. Apparently, chimpanzees also eat other monkeys, but he did not show us a video of that because he said primates eating primates is particularly gruesome, but I thought the Conyxus erosa was pretty awful too. So my notes just flew. I'm on the 5th floor. I don't want my papers to fly out, so I'm going to grab them real quick. Jennifer says chimps are brutal, so I haven't studied them much, but yes, they are. So got some fun swag. Turtle Survival Alliance, it's just a small group, right? Join. Everybody that's interested in turtles in the United States should be a member. The Dallas Zoo was a sponsor. Got one of these, I don't know what these things are called. I know they have a fun coolie or something. Is that what they're called? It's made out of cork. Dallas Zoo. My name badge. I was tempted to put 2 Turtle Tom on there, but I didn't. Zoo Med was there. I plucked a 21-22 Zoo Med catalog. They're coming out with new stuff all the time. I'm sure Zoo Med will be at TTPG again. Ashley was not there, but it's just really cool to see the actual Zoo Med catalog of everything they make. Because most of the stuff they make doesn't make it to pet stores. Actually took notes. That helps me. I don't refer to my notes, but if I write it down, that just helps me remember things. And become a member of the Turtle Survival Alliance. They just announced a new CEO. I don't know him, but he has both a biology and a business background and loves turtles. So I'm excited to see where he will take the Turtle Survival Alliance. They have a brand new logo. So that's pretty cool. I think it's an improvement. It's kind of cheesy, but we'll grow to like it. And Podrick is, Podrick. I had a hard time watching it too. So Here's their annual newsletter that you get if you're a member. So lots of turtle stuff. So yeah, overall, a really nice mix of talks. It had something for everybody. If you're an academic, you could learn something. And there were academic talks. There were just kind of professional accounts or even personal accounts, like the person that lives in Hong Kong, Ben Anders, I believe is his name, and just telling us about what he was seeing, kind of like I told you about what I saw in Korea. Beer koozie. Koozie is the word I was looking for. Thanks, Patrick. And the zoo talks were good. The wildlife trafficking talks were good. The conservation talks, which I would like to see maybe some round tables or some panel discussions where we could really kind of dig in and ask some questions and I think, yes, I wasn't here for the big picture talks, the keynotes and things like that. I bet they did that, but I definitely missed that. Not being able to have real discussion time about moving turtle conservation forward. I think I just probably missed that kind of thing. I love when we have panel discussions. And then, of course, I couldn't interact with people very much. I said hi to Chris and Greg Brashear. That was the first time I had met them in real life. And Tony Monahan. It was great to see you again, Tony. Looking forward to your book. And we're going to actually have Tony in a couple of weeks. And then really cool news. I got a $250,000 federal grant today for the day job. So that was announced. That was super exciting. So all in all, a very good day at the beach. And I'm going to throw it out to you guys for questions. What do you have? Do you have questions about the TSA? Questions about what it's like to go to this conference? Who goes to this conference? Let me know what your questions are. They typically hold it every year. They're based in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm about an hour and a half, 90 miles north of Charleston here at the southern end of Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is a great place for people to come. It was a bit rainy today, so there weren't tons of people on the beach. And, it's just a great family vacation. We booked this. I had no clue that we were going to be here at the same time the conference was happening. And I was just like, oh, I can take advantage of that. So that's what we did. And it was awesome. I love the conference. I wish I had more time to hang out and interact. I really appreciate you guys coming on to the lives. We got to grow. We got to grow. So please share these lives. Let other people know. Join in the fun. I have a full lineup for August, and I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to give you a little preview on who we're going to have. But I don't have any guests for September yet. We need to grow. We need to get bigger. It takes a lot of time and effort for me to go out and find guests. And I think I'm going to schedule guests for September. I want this to keep going, but I also want it to grow. So let me share with you who we're going to have on over the next few weeks, and let others know. Next week I have open. So next week I could use your suggestion for a guest. So put it in the chat. I've tried really hard to get Dan, the Turtle Man, this week to be on with Matthew, but I couldn't get it. So we need a guest for the 10th, and then on the 17th, I'm going to have Saul Bauer. Saul Bauer is a professional zookeeper. He keeps map turtles and hingeback tortoises at home. He was my good buddy in Central Ohio. So Saul Bauer, in 2 weeks, professional zookeeper. He's going to talk about how he puts his aquatic setups together. So look for that one to come. And then the 24th, I've got Tony Monahan scheduled. Tony is an educator in New York City, but he is an artist as well, and he creates these incredible fiber works about turtles, but he's also an author as well. So he is writing a guidebook of places to go see turtles and tortoises in captive settings in the US. So we're going to try to get a little peek of what Tony's book is like on the 24th. And then August 31st, Steve Enders, president of the Turtle Room, the CEO, the nonprofit. You know, the Turtle Room was mentioned for 2 different talks today. So that organization is one that's growing. And yes, they do the podcast, but they're doing all kinds of other things behind the scenes. So we're going to talk to Steve about some of his work with turtles and a little bit about the Turtle Room. And then finally, on September 7th, we're going to have Matthew again. Now, Matthew is supposed to be joining me tonight, but he is really, really sick. So shout out to Matthew. Matthew, I hope you feel better. Okay. So let's take a look at the question. So is it open to all members to watch? So it is not broadcast. You have to be there in person to attend. And I don't believe I don't know if they record the talks and offer them for sale afterwards, but you know, these conferences get very expensive for people to put on, and they get real jumpy about offering a remote option nowadays. They need, we used to call it in Ohio State parks, heads in beds or butts in seats. So, Podrick says, get Zach Loftman on next week. We had Zach on the Let's Talk Turtles podcast, Podrick. So I would love to bring Zach in someday, but I had a great conversation with him, and I'm gonna give him some time to get his turtle facility all set up. Listen to Ryan and I's Let's Talk Turtles podcast. Now, this I only put on YouTube. It is available as a podcast on YouTube, but the goal of these is pretty quick lives, quick updates, just kind of a shout out, have fun, get us through the last bit of the week. So that is the dealio. One more thing. So share. I need everybody, please share the recording or share one of the next episodes. I need 30 people on. I need 40 people. We're growing, but slowly. So share it with your friends. Let people know this is a cool, fun place to hang out. Finally, tomorrow evening, I'm in front of an ocean, and a lot of loggerhead sea turtles nest along this part of the beach in South Carolina. And there's an organization, you can find them on Facebook, called SCOOT. It stands for South Carolina something turtle something. And they monitor the sea turtle nests. It's a network of volunteers from a place called Debadoo, which is the furthest south beach on the southern Grand Strand of Myrtle Beach, all the way up to North Myrtle Beach in the Cherry Grove area. So the first sea turtle nest of the season has hatched, and it is at Litchfield Beach State Park, which is just about 3 miles north of here, and they are going to do a kind of a nest post-mortem tomorrow night. So we're going to go. What they do, they dig up the nest, they count eggs to see how many eggs were in that nest, to see how many animals hatched, to see how many animals didn't make it. And sometimes they find little baby sea turtles still in the nest. that they'll take out, and then they line people up on each side of the beach and watch those little baby sea turtles walk all the way down to the ocean. So fingers crossed it doesn't pour tomorrow night. It's supposed to rain. But yeah, man, we've seen a baby loggerhead that hasn't survived. But man, it would be so cool to see a live baby sea turtle. So Podrick says he loved the podcast with Zach, and Zach is very interesting. Zach has his own podcast. I forget exactly what it's called, but he is a busy man when you combine all of the things he's doing. So, well, guys, that's about all I have. We will be here tomorrow again and leave Saturday. So, I actually brought some turtles with me. Phil says, love the beach turtle trackers. I got to see a nest dug out, and there was a stream of baby sea turtles heading for the ocean. Yeah. Phil, that is awesome. And Mikey Ben says, have you ever swam with sea turtles? Yeah, I mean, I've been in the ocean. No, I'm just kidding. Not really is the short answer. I have scuba dived. I used to scuba dive, and I have scuba dived on the Great Barrier Reef, but I didn't spot one while doing that. So I brought 3 baby Homiana that have hatched in the past 3 weeks. I brought 3 Nogui that have hatched in the past 3 weeks, and yes, the tortoise that we now affectionately call Baby Greek, which is technically it is, according to the latest maps in the checklist that is put out by the turtle specialist group. The Greek tortoise that I have is Testudo Graeca terrestris anamurensis, if I'm understanding the maps correctly. So, Southern Ibera anamurensis, Northern terrestris. It just depends who you decide. But yep, it's super fun to have them here. My mom takes care of the babies when I'm gone, and my parents and my brother are with us. So that is the dealio. So, okay, guys, it's dark, as you can see, and it's been really fun. Thank you to all the people at the TSA to put on a great conference. Yeah, like I said, I hope I can continue to come to this conference. It was great, and what I like about it, it is broad compared to the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group meeting. Yes, we have a little bit of science there, but it's mostly captive care. And so to see the ecology, the conservation, and the herpetoculture aspect, I really, really liked it. So Matthew, we got to get you on next week because Matthew, I have a slot open. So Matthew's going to feel much better next week, hopefully, rest up, and join us then. But yes, please share. Please share this. We need these lives to grow. They're doing really well. I just need 20 or 30 people to really make that time I put into this worth it. So thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you, Mikey Ben, Podrick, everyone, Phil, Kyle, Sean, Jennifer, CNC. I think we got everybody. Patrick Lee, Josh's Underground Legos, and David Mark Butler. I think I got everybody. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. We'll bring Matthew on, and we'll see how he's doing. Hopefully he's feeling much, much better. Remember, please share. I really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up. Let's grow. Let's grow this. Let's get better every week. let's just keep talking turtles. We'll see you next time.